Ladies, let's be real for a moment. We live in a world where women are expected to smile through pain, stay quiet to keep the peace, and swallow their fire to protect someone else's ego. But today, I'm here to remind you that your silence does not make you strong. Your voice does. Your power lies not in revenge, not in tears, but in your evolution. So when a man hurts you, disrespects your trust, breaks your spirit, or takes you for granted, don't crumble, confuse him. Confuse him with your calm. He expects chaos, he expects begging, he expects drama, but you give him peace, not because you're okay with what he did, but because you've mastered the art of control. You don't give him your breakdown, you give him your boundaries, confuse him with your elevation. Don't text him paragraphs, work on yourself. Hit the gym, take that trip, level up in your career. Let your glow up be louder than your clap back. Let him watch you rise, silently wondering why the woman he thought he broke is now shining like she was never touched by pain. Confuse him with your kindness. This one's hard, I know. But true strength isn't in becoming bitter, it's in staying beautiful within. You don't have to curse him out to prove a point. Smile, say thank you, and walk away. That's power, that's grace, that's the kind of energy that haunts someone far longer than anger ever could. Confuse him with your refusal to be defined by him. You are not the breakup, you are not the betrayal, you are not what he failed to see in you. You are everything he couldn't handle, and more, and when you stop trying to explain your worth, that's when he'll start to question everything. But let me be clear, this isn't about him, this is about you. You deserve healing, you deserve clarity, you deserve love that doesn't confuse you, but cherishes you. So take that hurt, and instead of returning it, transform it. Let it push you into your power, your purpose, your next chapter. Because the best revenge, it's not revenge at all. It's becoming the woman who doesn't even flinch at the memory of him. It's walking past that pain with your head held high, heels clicking like a drumbeat of destiny, and a smile that says, you had a chance, you lost it. I didn't lose anything. I just found myself. So when a man hurts you, don't break. When someone hurts you, especially someone you cared about, your natural instinct might be to lash out, cry, beg for answers, or even lose control. But true power comes when you do the opposite, when you choose calm over chaos. It throws people off, especially those who expected to see you shattered. There's a certain kind of silence that speaks louder than any outburst, a composure that says, you didn't break me, without uttering a single word. When you respond with calmness, you take the power back. Because what most people who cause pain expect is a reaction. They expect you to fall apart, to chase after them, to lose your sense of dignity. And when you don't, when you stand tall, composed and unshaken, that's when you confuse them. Staying calm doesn't mean you weren't hurt. It doesn't mean you're pretending. It simply means you're choosing to handle your pain with power. It means you respect yourself enough not to let someone else control your emotional state. You are telling the world, and more importantly yourself, that your peace is not for sale. There's something profoundly strong about the woman who doesn't scream or beg, who doesn't throw insults or plead for attention, but instead lifts her chin, takes a deep breath, and walks forward with confidence. That kind of grace leaves a lasting impression. It speaks to your inner stability, your self-respect, and your emotional intelligence. This kind of response forces the other person to confront their actions. When they see you unshaken, it becomes clear that they underestimated you. They may question their choices, wonder why you're not broken, and realize they no longer have control over your emotions. And that shift in energy, that unexpected strength, disorients them. Because they expected chaos and you gave them clarity. They expected noise and you gave them silence. They expected you to need them and you reminded them you only need yourself. And here's the beauty of it. Staying calm doesn't just confuse them. It heals you. It allows you to process your pain without adding more damage to your soul. It helps you rise from the ashes with dignity, not with regret. Your calm is your crown. Wear it even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Because in that stillness, you find your strength, and that strength, it's the kind they never saw coming. When someone wounds your heart, especially someone you gave your time, trust, and affection to, it's tempting to fall into a spiral of self, doubt, and sadness. But one of the most powerful things you can do is rise, not by seeking revenge, not by trying to prove a point directly, but by focusing all your energy on leveling up. When you grow, improve, and thrive in the midst of pain, you shift the narrative. You go from being the one who was hurt to being the one who turned that hurt into motivation. This kind of transformation is confusing to those who thought they left you broken. They expected tears and heartbreak to define you, but instead they see confidence, progress, and a woman who refuses to stay down. Instead of falling apart, you use the setback as a setup for something greater. You sign up for the gym, not for anyone else, but because you're reclaiming your body and strength. You pursue that career goal you once put aside, not out of anger, but because you now remember your worth. You invest in your mind, your appearance, your peace. Suddenly, you're glowing, not because life is perfect, but because you've decided to stop giving your energy to someone who didn't value it. That glow, that peace, that evolution, it speaks volumes. This level up is not just about looking good. It's about becoming whole again. It's about regaining the pieces of yourself that you may have handed over too freely. It's about remembering who you are and making sure the next version of you is stronger, wiser, and more grounded. The person who hurt you might not recognize you anymore, and that's the point, because you're no longer the woman waiting for an apology, trying to fix things, or explaining your worth. You've become someone new, someone powerful. As you elevate, the need to explain fades, the urge to prove yourself disappears. You simply become undeniable. You confuse the one who hurt you not by your words, but by your transformation. They don't know how to respond to the version of you that didn't fold, that didn't collapse under the pain, but instead became bolder and more radiant. That is where your strength lies, not in reaction, but in reinvention. The more you focus on your growth, the less you need from anyone else. And that independence, that evolution, that silent rise, it's the most powerful answer you could ever give. When someone breaks your heart, the first instinct is often to respond with anger. You want to make them feel what you felt, to match the hurt they caused with equal pain. But real strength isn't found in bitterness. It's found in choosing kindness, even when it's the last thing you feel like giving. When you respond to betrayal or disrespect with grace instead of rage, it sends a message that speaks louder than any insult ever could. You're not responding this way because you're weak. You're doing it because you're above the drama, because you've mastered self-respect, and because you know that the energy you put out is the energy that returns to you. Kindness in the face of hurt is powerful because it's unexpected. The person who hurt you probably anticipates your breakdown, your angry texts, your revenge. But when you treat them with calm, polite distance instead of venom, it throws them off. It makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to look at themselves, to wonder why they weren't able to get under your skin the way they thought they would. And that, in itself, is a kind of justice, not one fueled by cruelty, but by self-control. You're showing that their actions didn't change who you are at your core. Being kind doesn't mean letting someone walk over you. It doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. It means you've processed your emotions, taken your power back, and decided that you won't become like the person who hurt you. You choose to stay true to yourself. That choice is not easy, but it's transformational. It builds character, it keeps your heart from hardening, and most importantly, it allows you to move on without bitterness poisoning your future relationships. The beauty of this approach is that it leaves no loose ends for the person who hurt you to hold on to. You didn't curse them out, you didn't chase them, you didn't fall apart. You simply closed the door with a smile and continued your journey. That image of you gracious, composed, unbothered, stays with them far longer than any dramatic reaction would have. And while they're left questioning, you're already healing. You're moving forward with clarity, peace, and an energy that only attracts better things. Kindness in pain is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the choice to live above the hurt, to rise instead of sink, and to protect your spirit no matter how badly someone tried to damage it. And that quiet power will always speak louder than any scream. When someone hurts you, it's easy to feel like that pain defines you. You begin to question your worth, replay conversations, wonder what you did wrong, and sometimes even carry their guilt on your own shoulders. But the truth is, what someone else did to you is a reflection of them, not a definition of you. You are not the mistake they made. You are not the betrayal they committed. And you are certainly not the rejection they gave you. You are still whole, still powerful, still valuable. Your identity was never meant to be wrapped in someone else's choices. Too often, we give people the authority to write parts of our story that they don't deserve to touch. We let one failed relationship, one heartbreak, or one toxic encounter cloud our vision of who we truly are. But the moment you realize that their inability to love you properly is not a reflection of your lack, everything changes. You begin to detach your self-worth from their treatment. You stop internalizing the pain. You stop thinking you were the problem, and you start realizing that they simply weren't capable of recognizing what you brought to the table. Refusing to be defined by someone else's mistake is not about denying the pain, it's about reclaiming your narrative. It's about remembering that your value isn't up for negotiation. One person's inability to see it doesn't decrease it. You were enough before they came into your life, and you're more than enough now that they've exited it. Their absence doesn't diminish you. In many ways, it reveals who you are without the weight of their influence. The power lies in how you choose to carry the experience. Do you carry it as a wound, or do you wear it as wisdom? Do you let it dim your light, or do you let it fuel your fire? You have the choice to turn the pain into purpose, to use it as a reminder of what you'll never settle for again. You don't need closure when you've already chosen clarity. You don't need their apology when you've already made peace with yourself. Walking away from someone who couldn't handle your worth doesn't mean you lost. It means you survived. It means you're growing. And it means you're finally refusing to shrink yourself to fit into places you were never meant to be. Let them wonder, let them regret, but never, ever let them define you. Because you were never theirs to define, you've always belonged to yourself. Healing truly begins when you take the spotlight off the person who hurt you and put it back where it belongs, on yourself. After betrayal or heartbreak, it's so easy to make everything about them. You analyze their actions, question their motives, stalk their social media, and keep replaying the moment everything fell apart. But the longer you focus on them, the more power you continue to give away. The truth is, they've already taken enough from you. It's time to shift that energy and attention inward. This isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about choosing what you do next with your heart and your life. You begin to find peace when you stop waiting for them to understand what they did. When you stop hoping for closure that may never come, when you finally accept that your healing doesn't require their cooperation. You get to choose how you grow from the experience, and that starts by pouring all the love you once gave to them into yourself. Your time, your energy, your passion. It all belongs to you now. Use it to rebuild. Use it to create the version of you that's no longer defined by the past, but empowered by everything you've learned from it. This shift is where the transformation begins. You start doing things not to prove a point, not to make them notice, but simply because you want to feel alive again. You pick up old dreams that were pushed aside. You take care of your body, your mental health, your space. You surround yourself with people who truly value you. Every small decision becomes a step back to yourself. And before you know it, your heart starts to beat for you again, not for them. It's a powerful thing when your healing is no longer about anyone else. You're no longer waiting on someone's apology to move forward. You're no longer living in the shadows of what they did. You realize that the real closure comes when you decide to close the door yourself and keep walking. That's when you take your power back fully. You're no longer reacting to their presence or their absence. You're simply creating a life that feels good to you, and that in itself is the greatest comeback. Not one born of revenge or bitterness, but one built on self-love, self-respect, and a refusal to let anyone else narrate your worth. Because the moment you choose yourself is the moment your real healing begins. There is a quiet kind of power in simply moving on. Not with fanfare, not with revenge, not with dramatic goodbyes, but with grace. When someone hurts you, they often expect to live rent-free in your mind. They believe they've left a mark so deep that you'll always carry it. But when you outgrow that pain and keep walking forward without looking back, it's the most unexpected response you could ever give. They thought they were a chapter in your life, maybe even the main character. Instead, they become a footnote in a story that keeps getting better without them. Outgrowing pain is not about pretending it didn't affect you. It's about doing the hard inner work to rise above it. It's about acknowledging the wound, learning the lesson, and then refusing to let it define your future. You don't just heal, you evolve. You become more aware, more in tune with your worth, and more intentional about what you allow into your life. That growth creates a distance no one can cross. Suddenly, the version of you who cried for them no longer exists. The version of you who tolerated less than she deserved is gone. What remains is a woman who knows exactly who she is and exactly what she will never accept again. As you continue to rise, you naturally separate yourself from the situation that once consumed you. It loses its grip. It becomes smaller in your memory. You stop checking for updates, stop wondering what they think, stop craving their validation. Their name doesn't make your heart race anymore. Their absence doesn't feel like emptiness. It feels like space. Space you now use to build something real, something meaningful, something yours. And that's where your true freedom begins. What confuses the person who hurt you the most is not your anger. It's your absence, it's your peace, it's the silence that follows the storm, not because you were defeated, but because you chose to rise higher. They don't know how to react when they realize they no longer matter in the way they thought they would. And that realization lingers with them long after you've let go. You don't need to announce that you've moved on. Your energy will speak for itself. Your joy will speak for itself. And your growth will be the loudest message of all. So let them stay where they are wondering, regretting, reflecting. You have places to go, people to become, and a future that no longer includes them. That's the real victory. Confuse him, then outgrow him. And never, ever look back.